reading the book of Revelation. Reading the book of Revelation was not what I thought heaven was going to be like. So it's really strange having read the book of Revelation, the small part of it that talks about the angel who talked to me had a measuring rod of gold to measure the city, its gates and its walls. The city was laid out like a square, as long as it was wide. He measured the city with the rod and found it to be 12,000 stadia in length, and as wide and as high as it is long. He measured its wall, and it was 144 cubits thick by man's measurement, which the angel was using. The wall was made of jasper, and the city of pure gold, as pure as glass. The foundations of the city walls were decorated with every kind of precious stone. The first foundation was jasper, the second sapphire, the third chalcedony, the fourth emerald, the fifth sardonyx, the sixth carnelian, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, the ninth topaz, the 10th chrysoprase, the 11th jacinth, and the 12th amethyst. The 12 gates were 12 pearls, each gate made of a single pearl. The great street of the city was of pure gold, like transparent glass. I did not see a temple in the city, because the Lord God Almighty and the Lamb are its temple. The city does not need the sun or the moon to shine on it, for the glory of God gives it light, and the Lamb is its lamp. The nations will walk by its light, and the kings of the earth will bring their splendor into it. Oh, no day will its gates ever be shut, for there will be no night there. The glory and honor of the nations will be brought into it. Nothing impure will ever enter it, nor will anyone who does what is shameful or deceitful, but only those whose names are written in the Lamb's book of life. Actually, reading forward, maybe I'm incorrect. Maybe I'm wrong about this. Well, you can refute me if you want. Wait. This is so strange to me. And I'm making this video as an experience. It's not necessarily supposed to have a structure. This is strange. It's very strange to read this. With everything that we kind of hear things talking about, these inner city places that that have, like they have food, they're protected, the gates are open, yet somehow these murderers and the sexually immoral and the idolaters are outside of the city. They're so close to it. Like, I mean, I would never imagine heaven to be so close to those that are quote unquote not allowed to enter. This is the last page of the book of Revelation, the last page of the Bible. The last page says, do let those Jesus is coming. Behold, I am coming soon. Blessed is he who keeps the word of the prophecy in this book. I, John, am the one who heard and saw these things. And when I had heard and seen them, I fell down to worship at the feet of the angel who had been showing them to me. But he said to me, do not do it. I am a fellow servant with you and with your brothers and prophets and all of who keep the words of this book worship God. Then he told me, do not seal up the words of the prophecy of this book, because the time is near. Let him who does wrong continue to do wrong. Let him who is vile continue to be vile. Let him who does right continue to do right. And let him who is holy continue to be holy. Something doesn't feel right about this. I know you're going to be like, okay, so there are certain people that watch my videos that will say certain things about me. There are another certain type of group that will say another certain type about me. Then there are certain people that will say things I expect. Like, I expect people to say things, but this is only for an audience of 2. And for you watching this on the other side of the video, I have a few questions to ask and thoughts that come to mind. While there are a lot of things in this that don't sound correct, and I could just start bringing up one by one. The holy city Jerusalem. Okay, wait a minute. So you're telling me that heaven, at the end of this, after all this suffering and sacrifice that we put in as Christians, we're to get a kingdom. We're just supposed to be imprisoned in this kingdom? What about roaming free throughout all of the different realms and the possibilities of meeting those that we could never meet here? What about the possibilities of having choice, not the choice you think of in the worldly sense, I'm talking about the choice to be one way or the other, having the choice of freedom to not choose chaos, to have the glimmers of moments and events, glimmers and glimpses of what dopamine could never provide here in this place, in this realm. So you're telling me that what I'm thinking that I'm gonna get is not what I'm gonna get. I'm gonna get the reward of this glass kingdom with stones and a waterfall in the middle. It sounds absolutely beautiful and stunning, but one thing that strikes me at the spirit is the fact that it says there will be no night, which night is my favorite time. Like, I feel God at nighttime when there's no light. Like, what is this? Like, this is like, so you're telling me that there will be just continuous light shining on me? Like, I don't think I want that. I don't want to be there. Now, I'm not saying, oh, I don't want to be there, so therefore I don't love God, or I don't love the universe or creator, that I don't love Jesus, that I don't love the truths of the Bible. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying parts of this are a little bit alarming in spirit, because this is not what I imagined heaven to be. You know how they talk about imagination being bad and sensuality being bad. They say that I forget, was it Chronicles? They say that imagination from human beings is a fallen. I'm not really sure where I left off with this. Heaven to me was going to be where you can hug somebody and you can actually feel something, like a spark, where you can actually like do something and you can actually feel it, like where you can and that sounds like really bad, like it's like, well, you can't feel it. Well, it's like I haven't been able to feel, like, to be able to finally feel excitement again, like to feel that rush of excitement for like going to a movie, like that, put it in a bottle and magnify it over different kinds of days, and you know, along the journey of the spirit and the soul through different times and dimensions, hopefully in the afterlife. What heaven, the kingdom of heaven in my mind was supposed to be this undulating journey of a new kind of freedom that is experienced. It's really strange how my idea of heaven that I've had uncorrupted by the idea that anyone else has given me of what heaven would be, because I never read this till today, December 28th, 2022. I've never read this before. I always thought heaven was going to be something else my whole life until this point where I read it in the Bible, and I'm disappointed. There's no way that this is true. My spirit doesn't feel like this is true. And now my battery's gonna run out. It doesn't feel like what I know where I'm supposed to go after. And I've been very in tune with this my growing years in childhood more than my recent years. In my growing years in childhood, never would think that heaven is a city that we live in between walls of. Sure, there are diamonds and crystals and actual stones, like gemstones. Like, I used to love gemstones as a kid, and crystals and things like that. I was so attracted to that. I was obsessed with that. But okay, that's material though. What about the immaterial? What about, what are we really gonna gain? Some kind of temple coming down, and that's our home, and the bad people are on the outside. And then let alone I remember when Isaiah Saldivar, when I was listening to him, not trying to throw shade, but everything changed for me when I heard his one sermon. And I was cleaning my basement, and I was trying to make everything all perfect, and I was so excited, and I was having the Holy Spirit run through me. And then I listened to this one sermon about the 1,000 years with Satan being thrown, with the part where Satan is basically taken down in the book of Revelation, and for 1,000 years we reign with Christ. That part did not make sense to me, and is not the same story that I was given. Not the same story I was given, and I shouldn't say given, because no being physically gave me the information. It came with me. I came with the instructions. So when I was born here, I knew of what was to come, and it wasn't this. This is not familiar at all to me with Satan. And that I had to stop. I'm like, what? We win, and he's slayed, the dragon is slayed, and he falls down, and he's in prison for 1,000 years, and we reign for 1,000 years, and then he's let out for a small time period. And what? No, that is not what came with my spirit aspect. I knew that we would run away from here. That was the main thing of heaven. It's not a place. It means we run away from here. We escape, and Satan can't come after us after we've escaped, after we've made it through the narrow path. Which there are some truths in the Bible where it talks about the eye of the needle, of course, the hard work it takes to go through the eye of the needle. And the eye of the needle is through this really small fractional ability for the slipperiness of the Holy Spirit to make it through at the last minute. I don't want to say too much. I don't feel like it's right to say too much. I feel like it shouldn't be even spoken. And let alone if a truth of this nature, of this immense nature of the future of where we are supposed to go, it's written in a book. Books back in the day are equated to YouTube, right? It's basically the same thing. Not really, but it's back in the day they didn't have technology. The way to disseminate information was through books, writing on caves, even, if you will, if you go back further. But books are basically our videos. So you're telling me some person, John in this case, who said, I, John, am the one who heard and saw these things, we're believing John's, I don't think this is, something's not right about this. And Jesus, who would maybe, what if this was hijacked and John and all these different apostles, or the different apostles, are the ones who wrote these things to enslave us rather than what Jesus actually wanted for us. And there's like a twist to it, and it's written in the Bible being the book that has to give some truths but also has to enslave for the plan to come forth. Like, it's very similar to the inner city garden idea of the environment saving stuff that they want to do for after the MOB, the mark of to happen. Like, they want, only the people who have the mark to enter the city. It's very similar to what's written here, but then again, to have the smart cities, for example, that are only accessible by the ones that are obedient. And I believe that the eye of the needle is by being disobedient, is by being the opposite to the opposite to the opposite to the opposite of the pack. Everybody's going one direction, you go the opposite to the opposite to the opposite to the opposite to the infinity of the opposite of where everyone else is going. And that would beg the question of how come heaven has other people? Because to me, in my experience and in my knowing, as it's this few years I've been on earth of 30 years, I've realized that you can't really trust anybody here. You can't trust people. So how can heaven be a big city full of people that are just like me? I don't feel like there are a lot of us. I feel like there are very, very, very few, and that they're only on the other side. And they can communicate here, but they're only on the other side. So like, how are we supposed to believe this? Oh, and there was something else. Okay, the idea that heaven is a destination, that like blows my mind, because it's basically saying that the journey is over. How can that be bliss? How can the journey being over be bliss? Like, I know eternity is one thing. We should be flowing in eternity. It just doesn't sound spiritual in any way to me. After, like, I promise you, in school we didn't get to this part. I didn't read this with anybody specifically when I was studying the Bible. I've never turned to this page or understood this in this sense. Like, I've never taken this in. I've never read the whole book of Revelation on the internet. I have heard the Isaiah Zaldivar about Satan being thrown down for 1,000 years. But never, like, I feel like this is not true. That's a huge thing to say. I'm gonna get so much lashback. Maybe. If you want to refute me, you totally can. It's all from like inner feeling. I feel like heaven is in the details. And it's not necessarily a place, but it's a journey that we can freely be on that journey. We can actually be on a journey uninterrupted, and we also have choice, which we don't have here. And we also have the actual ability to feel true emotion, true connection beyond here. So we actually have the ability to connect to others, which we aren't afforded here. A lot of us are isolated. A lot of us are battling things. I wanted to bring up. Okay, yeah. Wait, hold on. I'm going so far, so quick. What is anything without the journey and without the hard work? What is anything? What is existence in itself if there is no? I don't want to say struggle. I don't want to say it's not a struggle, or a war or a fight. Saying that war is the reason for existence or anything like that. Like, that is not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that the preciousness of existence is a mix of pain and pleasure, a mixed bag of bad and good. But the little problem with this is the fact that here in this realm, there is no real pleasure. There is no real reward. There is, but it's muted. It's not the full embodiment that we expect to feel. There is no true vastness. There is almost that vastness which we kind of experience, but the full thing that is actually out there, we don't get to have here. It's all it's an imprisonment. It's also muted. We only get that little nutrition from food. We only get that little. We don't get the full spectrum of healing. We get the full aging of the flesh suit. We have a flesh suit here. Like, I don't understand. Do we have a flesh suit in heaven, in the kingdom? Like, do we have like an avatar there? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. What's our true avatar? Like, is this our real avatar, or is there another avatar that is our like real spirit avatar that doesn't change, that is unchanging and it's eternal, and we have been imprisoned against it so we can't access it? And then also to be able to fully connect with people. Like, I just really want to talk about that, because like a lot of us that are here believe that we're gonna meet somebody and connect to them, and we never can, right? And that's like the most destructive realization, is that you meet up with somebody and you're like, yeah, we're gonna talk about, and then you realize it's like bad stuff. You know, you can't connect. They're just talking about money and vacations and whatever materialistic things. You can't laugh at something together. You can't just like look and connect into the eyes and feel that zap feeling where you're like both eyes like connect and you're just like, whoa, like that's missing here. And that's what heaven has, and they don't talk about that in this book. And this is mind-boggling to me. And you should see how I was at the beginning of the video, and I was like quiet, and now I'm like like there are so few. Like, I can't tell you how few connection is so difficult. It's only getting harder. You know, it's only getting, the water's boiling or whatever more as time goes on, but like that's true happiness, that's true joy, that's truth, is when you actually connect. And I'm gonna tell you that hugging people here, shaking hands, hugging, looking into somebody's eyes, doesn't feel the same as where I came from 30 years ago. It doesn't feel the same. I've always known this. And it almost feels like I'm muted, like you're about to go hug someone, you hug them, and you're like, oh, I can't wait to feel what I remember like before I was born. But it becomes this glass wall that you smack against. You're just like, oh, there's nothing. When am I gonna find that something? And that's what I believe heaven will give us. They'll finally, like, when we escape here and we run from Satan and we break all contract, which that's how Satan can't catch up to us anymore, because we are so free. And there is I believe in a rapture. I do believe in a rapture. I do believe a being will come back to take us. Not saying an alien, you know, because I'm like I don't know, people are gonna twist my words in this. They're gonna, like, people are gonna get mad at me. I know there's a power at work. It's real. I believe, but I also don't have to believe, because I know there's a real God. I know there's a real Jesus. I don't know if his name is Jesus. I don't know what he looks like per se. But there is an energy out there that is real. And the masses of people, I don't connect to any Christians. Like, I can't, I don't know, like, what it is. Like, I believe in goodness and that, but I found it really interesting how I can never connect to any Christians. I can connect to anyone in general, and I also cannot connect to animals at all. I don't connect to domestic cats and dogs. I honestly like don't like them because I can't connect to animals. I couldn't connect to my rabbit when I had my rabbit. I can't literally connect to anything here, and I find it difficult to connect to plants. I try. I think plants are maybe the closest thing that there is for me to connect to, or the natural elements. But even I feel like they hate me too. Like the animals hate me, the people hate me, and plants and stuff hate me. But I love eating plants, but I just don't connect to anything. But except that force that I feel and I know so well. I know the force. Very, very similar. That one force is the one thing, and yeah, and I maybe think there's more to this than is written here. I might have to make a part 2 because my battery's running out, so watch out for part 2, but there might be more than we know about. I think it's good to question these things, debate about these things. It doesn't mean you're an unbeliever or you're a liar or any of this. I want to talk about sexual immorality too so badly. I don't think I'll have time on this. That was like a big chunk though I wanted to cover in this. But lastly, moments. Moments. We can't have moments here anymore. Did you not notice, okay, that we can't have moments anymore? In this realm, on this plane of existence, we can't have moments. I find that when there are the ability to have moments, it literally feels like bliss. It feels like heaven. It feels the most best pleasure in the entire world when you actually can have a moment to just look and just like go. You can just be. When you feel. I mean, isn't that more of heaven than just a walls built with jewels and stuff? Like and nighttime. What about nighttime? I'm just going in circles now, but like, what about nighttime? Like, what do you think? Like, nighttime to me is the most beautiful, and snow is the most beautiful thing in the entire world. Like, my favorite season of all is the coldest, rainiest, darkest, like, shiveriest ever. Like, my favorite season is obviously winter, and I love being as cold as I possibly can. I love being frozen and feeling the chills of my soul and my spirit, where I can't feel that in summertime. I mean, I like summer too, but I can't feel that. Like, I can feel God in winter, especially at nighttime. It's just so weird to me. It's like, I think that the thing missing though, you know, is little achievements along the way, you know, like you're walking in the snow and you find another being like you and you give them a big hug and you're like, oh wow, and then they like leave and you're just like, what was that? Like, it's amazing. And like, you know, you find like a tree that has like ripe berries on it or something, and it's like you can like see all of these gems growing from the tree, and like you can take the berries and you're like, what is this? Like an adventure. That's what we're missing. And I think that may be what heaven really could be. And like, honestly, let me know if I sound crazy, but I don't care, because this isn't for all those naysayers people. This is just for one person, you. I only care about what you think, and I'm supposed to only be talking to you in this video, but I have like the idea like, oh, there are people listening and they will click on this video, but I only care about that one person behind the screen, and you know who you are. So I only care about what you think about this. I could go on for days about how annoying people are when they're like, you said this and you said, I could go on and I don't care, and I really don't care. What I care about is talking about the moments and like the adventure, and heaven has got to be an adventure, a mission. It has to be. It can't just be like the end couch that you relax on. You're like, yeah, let's kick up our feet, we did it, we're done, that's it. Like Snowpiercer at the end, like they just look off and they see like the beautiful, like, I mean, that should be part of it and little bits of it, but just to have that be the end all, it seems so unrealistic. It seems like a movie play out when they talk about how Satan is thrown down. That was when I didn't unbelieve or stop falling, but I was just like, I gotta look into this a bit more, because if that's how this ends, that doesn't sound like what I know in my being that this is all about. And I do believe in Christianity, and I do believe in God. And about the liars thing, I believe we shouldn't lie to the people we love. What about when it comes down to survival? Shouldn't you lie to protect yourself though? I don't know. Like, I'm just asking. I have to ask this. Like, in honesty and in truth, I ask about lying. You know, like, shouldn't we be lying about certain, like, should we withhold certain information? I believe telling the truth is so important, and truth seeking is so important, but I also believe it's damaging to tell too much of your own truth. I think it's too much. It's honestly destructive to say too much sometimes to the wrong people, in front of the wrong audience, in the wrong crowd. What do you think? Like, I mean, they say liars will, like, so are they basically programming us to be this certain way so they can control us? Anyone ever question that? And like, but those that practice magic, that part, will not inherit the kingdom. Like, I just wonder, like, I know it is a tool. It's just odd that, you know, they would take that from the masses. This is the last comment because my camera is turning off, but I remember when I was like following to a T to the Bible, I was absolutely miserable, and yeah, like it just wasn't my spirit. It wasn't the way it was supposed to go, and I feel so much happier now and more in tune with my spirit now. So I don't understand. I'm having a lot of trouble understanding.